Well, joining us now to discuss the MTN 8 quarterfinals is Diski Times journalist Lorenz Kohler. A very good afternoon. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika. So tonight the semi-final draw for the tournament will be done. AmaZulu, Chiefs, Pirates and Sundowns will know who they go up against in the next phase of the competition. After this weekend, who impressed you the most?
It will be difficult to say because there were a lot of impressive performances. But I think Sundowns, they've really transformed their team this year, even after winning a domestic treble. And I think it's obviously impressive to see new players being implemented so quickly and actually doing well, like Marcelo Alengi and Nasir. Obviously, big pressure on them, having won all these trophies and making these big money signings. So yeah, I think it's a sign for things to come. Pirates, Chiefs, Sundowns, all in the semi-final. It's very exciting for South African football because I don't know when last something like that happened.
Well, anything can happen when it comes to a semi-final draw. If you had a magic wand and you could have it your way, who would you like to see going up in the semi-finals?
I think I'd probably like to see Pirates, Sundowns, because I think it would be a really good test to see them against each other. Probably two of the teams with the strongest squads. And then AmaZulu versus Chiefs would also be, I think both games, if it was set up like that, would be sold out affairs. And yeah, I think that's the most exciting outcomes for the semi-final, in my opinion.
Yeah, I suppose many people would be hoping that a potential Soweto derby lies in wait in the MTN 8 competition. Speaking about Kaizer Chiefs, however, you were at the Donny Craven Stadium. We saw the videos. What happened?
Look, I think just to explain what happened, I came maybe an hour early, but it was obviously gridlock coming into the stadium. I think when I actually walked into the stadium at past, the game was scheduled at 3. The whistle only went to start the game, so it was delayed twice because fans were coming way too slow into the arena. But I think this is just it's a lesson, not only for the fans, but Stellenbosch as well, on how to regulate that type of influx of traffic at a small arena like that. But I just think it's also, just fans in South Africa traditionally don't come early to games. For example, when I go elsewhere on the continent, I'll see people come 4 or 5 hours before kickoff, and it's just really not happening at South African football games. Like, it's good seeing fans back, but yeah, I think some gates were broken down, some barricades were stormed off for fans to go into the grandstand and things like that. So it was a bit chaotic, but I think there are lessons learned for fans and obviously for Stellenbosch as a club, just how to handle a game of that magnitude.
Stellenbosch, the club, actually did release a statement, and you had to feel the bittersweet wording of it. It was the biggest match ever to be hosted by the town of Stellenbosch, and to be marred by this kind of incident certainly leaves a bitter taste in their mouth. But they did clarify that it was the league that are responsible for ensuring security in cup matches. What more does the league actually need to do? We've seen many incidences when it comes to Chiefs being involved in matches. Do you think the league needs to go back to some of the lessons they should have learned many years ago?
It's a difficult one because, you can't take, games away from people's home ground. So it is a bit of a difficult situation. But I do think that if they know that there's going to be this type of, how can I say, influx of people in a short space of time, they should take, other precautionary measures like, blocking off certain roads, making sure that traffic is regulated properly. Because like Stellenbosch are saying that they weren't in charge of this. And I think something serious does need to happen because it kind of puts a bitter taste in the mouth of people who come there for the first time, for example, or families who now probably have this feeling of, it's dangerous for my young kids to be there, things like that. And it's not only the incidents that did happen, but there are some things. I was sitting in the crowd of the fans, not just in the media center, and there was certain behaviors from certain fans that's probably not good for families to see, if you know what I mean. So it's not just up to, organizers of the competitions, but also for people to just act a little bit more, I would say, civilized when it comes to these type of games, so that it doesn't put a bad taste in the mouth of others who, are expanding and starting to come to games like these.
We've seen terrible tragedies when it comes to football in South Africa. Were you sitting in the stands feeling a little nervous?
I wouldn't say I was nervous. I think, okay, there wasn't control, obviously, because the fans invaded the pitch twice. But I think it's a terrible thing for me to say, but I'm almost used to it, this kind of behavior. It's almost become the norm, especially when it comes to Chiefs fans, unfortunately. I don't know what the answer is, honestly, but it should never feel like the norm. Like, I mean, it didn't even surprise people that had happened, because it was kind of boiling over a while. Like, you could feel it was going to happen. But the concern is, what if Chiefs didn't win the game? What if it was a controversial decision that went against Chiefs? I think that's the main concern. And either they should take these type of games to other stadiums, like maybe Athlone, maybe Cape Town Stadium, with the security or, better enforced, or simply just, have a bigger police presence and a bigger security presence, hours before the game even starts.
Lorenz Kohler, Diski Times journalist, thank you for chatting to us and sharing some very sobering thoughts, and let's hope that the authorities at the league actually take heed of what you're saying from real lived experiences. That is how we come to the end of your Focusing on Sport. There will be more sport for you on News at Prime. Stephen.